أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. We are reading through a topic on knowledge of Deen, the importance of knowledge of Deen, the value of knowledge of Deen, the rise of the knowledge of Deen upon a student, upon the alim, the responsibilities. So these matters are being mentioned. Concerning the value and importance of Deen, the also mentioned the story of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. When he came to learn there is someone who knows more than him, then Musa alayhi salam became eager, interested, and made a request to Allah Ta'ala, Ya Allah, to meet that person. Allah Ta'ala also gave him permission, and Musa alayhi salam went to Khidr alayhi salam. So this shows the value of knowledge in sight of a prophet and Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala did not stop him and say, what need is there be? I speak with you, I reveal my wahi to you, but even then Allah Ta'ala gave him permission. And Musa alayhi salam also did not become content. I'm a prophet, Allah Ta'ala speaks with me, Allah Ta'ala reveals His wahi upon me. So this shows the value and importance of knowledge in sight of Allah Ta'ala and the prophets generally, and in this case Musa alayhi salam. And after Iman, the utmost ni'mat is a beneficial knowledge. Beneficial knowledge is that knowledge that the person is given tawfiq to practice upon it and make khidmat of that knowledge. So that is a beneficial knowledge, and it's a sign, there is a barakat in that person's knowledge. Acquiring knowledge is one commitment, one duty, and the knowledge being beneficial is another duty and another ni'mat of Allah. The benefit of knowledge basically, fundamentally two. The person is given tawfiq to practice upon that knowledge. So that person is fortunate, and it's a sign he has been blessed and there is a barakat in his knowledge. And even more, with practicing, he's given tawfiq to propagate that knowledge in form of teaching, in form of propagating, in whatever form he imparts the knowledge of Deen to other people, then that is a special favor upon that person. So while we live in this world, we do not know what Allah Ta'ala has fixed for me. But Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has given us some indications that when a person finds these signs in him or another person, it's a sign that Allah Ta'ala has favored him and Allah Ta'ala has chosen him. Quran saying, Sahihain, Bukhari, Muslim में हज़रत मुआविया रदी अल्लाह तआला से रिवायत है कि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम फरमाया कि जिस शख्स को अल्लाह ताला बेहतर बनाना चाहते हैं तो उसको दीन की समझ और इल्म अता फरमा देते हैं. While we live in this world, we do not know what Allah Ta'ala has fixed for me and what will be my end result. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given us one sign, one indication that to whomever Allah gives understanding of Deen and whom Allah gives knowledge of Deen, practical knowledge of Deen, this is a sign that Allah Ta'ala has chosen him and Allah Ta'ala has favored him. That he's given tawfiq to acquire. Basically the knowledge of Deen are three: Quran, Hadith and Fiqh, the Masail. So the person has knowledge of the Quran Sharif, he can understand the Quran Sharif, he knows the meaning of Quran Sharif, he's Hafiz of Quran Sharif. In the same way with Hadith, and he practices upon, and the Quran Sharif is a very kitab, very easy kitab to understand. All the kitab we are studying, out of all the kitab, The easiest kitab is Quran Sharif. Its translation is easy. With little amount of effort, one can understand its translation and its meaning. And the words of Quran Sharif are very, very simple. أقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة ولا تقربوا الزنا وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير. So with a little amount of attention, a person can understand the Quran Sharif. Same with Hadith Sharif. The Masails, they are a little difficult, but even then, in comparison to other kitabs you study, the Quran, Hadith and Sunnah, they are the easiest knowledge, they are the most valuable, they are the most important knowledge, and Allah has made them. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِذِكْرِ. Allah Himself says, we have made the Quran so easy for understanding and for taking nasihat. So nevertheless, and Allah gives someone the tawfiq to come to madrasa and he engages himself in a proper way in learning Quran Sharif, memorizing Quran Sharif, trying to understand the Quran Sharif and Hadith and Fiqh, that's a sign that he's on the path of being favored by Allah Ta'ala. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself has said that when Allah Ta'ala favors someone, then Allah gives him the understanding of Deen, and Allah Ta'ala gives him the practical knowledge of Deen. Knowledge in our case, Quran, Hadith and Fiqh. So when a person has the right knowledge of these three and is practicing according to it and he makes his life according to it, that's a sign he has been favored by Allah Ta'ala. Regarding wealth, that is no indication he's been chosen by Allah Ta'ala. You can look at the non-Muslims, they're more wealthier than Muslims. So that is no criteria of being chosen by Allah Ta'ala. और मैं तो सिर्फ तक़सीम करने वाला हूँ. Rasulullah regarding himself, I am only a distributor. I don't give knowledge. What Allah reveals to me, I convey to the people, and people acquire it according to their condition, according to their understanding, according to the Allah gives them tawfiq. इमाम गज़ाली रहमतुल्लाह अलैह कहते हैं कि इल्म शरई यानी कुरान हदीस फ़िक़ा तो अम्बिया से बतरीक़ तक़लीद अक्स किए हुए हैं. Knowledge of Deen, it comes to us through prophets. For us, Quran Sharif, that Rasulullah sallallahu conveyed the Quran Sharif to Sahaba, Quran and Hadith, and Sahaba conveyed to their students, and so on. This is how the Quran Sharif and Hadith Sharif has reached to us. We learn from our Ustad, he learned from his Ustad, and so on. The chain reaches till Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Quran, Hadith and Fiqh, they are learned through teacher, they learn through Ustad, step by step, starting from ourselves, it reaches to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. और ये इल्म किताबुल्लाह और सुन्नत रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु के पढ़ने से और सुनने के बाद उनके मानी समझने से हासिल होते हैं. So the method of acquiring the knowledge of Deen, as we know, is to we fix our ustad, we fix a madrasa, and day by day we read. If we're learning to read Quran and looking inside, the ustad will read first, then we will follow him, and we will go a few times and read two stars up. Slowly he will progress in learning to able to read Quran Sharif looking inside. When he has completed the Quran Sharif reading looking inside and he's fluent and he can read properly, fluently, now he goes to a second stage of becoming Hafiz. Ustad Sahib shows him how to do hifz. Read your sabak 15 times, 21 times, night time. Then start to memorize in the morning time. And read your sabak to Ustad Sahib and sabak para and door. So it's a stage by stage, step by step. But nevertheless, it starts from learning the Quran Sharif, Hadith Sharif and Masail or Fiqh from the beginning. And originally, all these three subjects are in Arabic, Quran Sharif, Hadith Sharif and Fiqh. And Arabic is not our mother tongue. So we need to learn the grammar of Arabic. This is why we learn Sarf first, and then we are able to understand the Arabic sentences. Then we go on to Quran Sharif and other kitabs. और इसी से दिल के औसाफ कामिल होते हैं. That Quran Sharif, Hadith Sharif is just like food. We eat roti, salan, rice, and that is a food for our stomach and body. In the same way, Quran Sharif, Hadith Sharif and Fiqh, it is the food and nourishment for our ruh. It cleans our ruh, it purifies our ruh, and it guides us towards the right path. So just like a person who doesn't have food to eat for 2-3 days, we can realize what his physical condition will be. In the same way, when a person, he does not give his ruh, his nourishment in form of knowledge of Deen, then it becomes anxious, it becomes uncomfortable. और इसी से दिल के औसाफ कामिल होते हैं और दिल की बीमारियों से सलामती हासिल होती है. Exactly just like in physical matter, a person keeps eating continuously all this time what is suitable for the body will stay healthy, strong, and in good condition. In the same way, if the ruh, if the soul gets receiving its nourishment in form of Quran Sharif, Hadith Sharif and Fiqh, then it will stay fresh, it will stay happy, and it will stay content and in good condition. Usually we find people in a state of anxiety and in a state of depression. That's being the ruh not receiving his nourishment in form of knowledge of Deen and remembrance of Allah Ta'ala. हज़रत अनस रदी अल्लाह ताला से रिवायत है कि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया, इल्म को तलब करना फ़र्ज़ है हर मुसलमान पर. रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम said, तलबुल इल्मी फ़रीदतुन अला कुल्ली मुस्लिमीन. To search for the knowledge of Deen is a compulsory commitment upon every Muslim according to his condition. So just like eating is compulsory, that the food is present and person is hungry, it's necessary to eat. If he will not eat for 3-4 days, probably he might die or become very seriously ill. So just as it is necessary to feed our body, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kulu minat tayyibat wa'malu salihan, Allah says in the Quran, should you believers eat from halal and carry out good actions, virtuous acts. So in the same way, concerning our ruh, Allah fas'alu ahla dhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. Ask the people of knowledge if you do not know yourself. So just as food is necessary for the body, the food of the soul, food for the ruh is knowledge, it is not necessary also. If the ruh will not achieve its necessity in form of knowledge and remembrance of Allah Ta'ala, it will become slowly and slowly it will die away. So this is usually we see people in a state of anxiety, depression, sadness. So the root of that comes to the ruh not achieving its necessity of knowledge and remembrance of Allah Ta'ala. हज़रत कसीर बिन कैस से रिवायत है कि मैं दमिश्क की मस्जिद में अबू दरदा रज़ी अल्लाह के पास बैठा कि एक शख्स आया. So one tabi'i, Qasir bin Qais, he says, once I was sitting in the masjid of Damascus with Sahabi Hazrat Abu Darda radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, और कहने लगा, ए अबू दर्दा, मैं तुम्हारे पास मदीनतुर रसूल से आया हूँ. And the person said, O Abu Darda, I have come to you from the city of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Medina Sharif. So in those days, a journey from Medina Sharif to Syria on a camel, it would take 1 month. So he traveled all the way from Medina Sharif to Syria, Damascus, to see Hazrat Abu Darda radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. एक हदीस के लिए कि मुझे खबर मिली है, तुम उसको रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु से बयान करते हो. So he said, just for one hadith, and it has come to my knowledge that you narrate this hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu, meaning the person who came, he knew the hadith, but he knew it from different chain. And Abu Darda radiyallahu had directly heard it from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he knew the hadith, but he came to know that Abu Darda radiyallahu, the Sahabi and is still alive, he narrates this hadith directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he traveled all the way from Medina Sharif to Damascus to listen to that hadith from Hazrat Abu Darda radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who had heard it directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. इसके सिवा मैं किसी काम के लिए नहीं आया हूँ. And besides that, I have not come for any other work. This is my purpose, to hear this hadith from you, which you narrate from Rasulullah sallallahu directly. So Abu Darda radiyallahu, when he heard this person and the value of Deen he has, and such a long journey he has made for one hadith, Hazrat Abu Darda radiyallahu ta'ala informed him of the fazilat merit of searching knowledge. Abu Darda radiyallahu ta'ala फरमाया, मैंने सुना है रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम से कि फरमाते थे, जो शख्स इल्म की तलब में कोई रास्ता तय करता है तो अल्लाह ताला जन्नत के रास्तों में से एक रास्ता उसको तय कराते हैं. So when Abu Darda heard that this person has come such a far way for one hadith, it shows value of hadith and ilm to this person. Abu Darda radiyallahu ta'ala narrated from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Rasulullah sallallahu said, any person who seeks knowledge of Deen, who goes out in search of knowledge of Deen, then Allah makes him one of the path of Jannat easy for him. Meaning, when a person is engaged acquiring knowledge, like our students in madrasa, that someone is becoming hafiz, someone is becoming alim, and we have left our home and we have come to madrasa, so we come under this category with the condition we fulfill the etiquettes, meaning we follow the Deen and we fulfill our obligation, we perform salat on time, we do not commit our sin, and we keep ourselves engaged in our purpose. So by doing that, if that person's death comes in such a state, inshallah easily, without any reckoning, he will enter into Jannat. और फरिश्ते अपने बाजू बिछाया करते हैं तालिब इल्म की खुशनुदी के लिए. And out of respect and honor, the angels who have wings, they spread their wings under where he's walking, out of respect and out of affection for that student. We can't see this, but Rasulullah has informed us that when someone is a real student and he fulfills the conditions of a study, then Allah treats him in such a way, angels that respect him, honor him, and out of respect and honor, they spread their wings under the student's feet. So this is a virtue of a student who is still acquiring knowledge. When he becomes an alim, then his status rises even higher. और जो आलिम होता है उसके लिए मग़फ़िरत की दुआ मांगा करते हैं. And the angels for the alim, because alim, he guides other people. He shows the path to the people. His status is higher than a student. Student is still engaged in acquiring knowledge, and the alim, he has acquired knowledge, he's practicing himself, and he's guiding other people. So his status is higher. So the angels, they make dua for such a alim. And the person who is an alim, and he alim means practical alim and making khidmat of deen. So for such a alim, the angels, they make dua for his forgiveness to Allah Ta'ala. जो भी आसमानों में और ज़मीनों में है, all the angels who are in the skies, on the earth, they make dua for maghfirat for such a alim. और पानी के अंदर मछलियाँ भी, और and even the fish in the ocean, in water, they make dua of maghfirat for such a person, because of such a people who guide the people towards the right path, and people come on the hidayat. Allah's mercy comes down. وَلَوْ أَنَّ عَلَى الْقُرَىٰ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا لَفَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَرَكَاتٍ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ. So if you want Allah's special mercy and blessing to descend, and the method for that is that the community, they become believers and practical believers, following the commands of Allah Ta'ala. Inshallah Ta'ala, the blessing, the barakah of that will be seen in a form of beneficial rain coming from the skies, and the earth bring out his blessed crops, and the life will be of the people of comfort and peacefulness. So that's the barakah through the alim's guidance, alim's teaching, alim's propagation. और आलिम को आबिद पर ऐसी फजीलत है जैसे 14वीं रात के चांद को फजीलत है बाकी सितारों पर. As a comparison, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that the status of an alim over an abid. So abid is that person, after performing the farais, he engages in nafal ibadat. After performing time salat, he engages in performing tahajjud, ishraq, chast, tahiyatul wuzu, tahiyatul masjid, awwabin, all the nafal salat. And he makes zikr in abundance, and he fasts. So such a person is called abid. And the alim is that person that who has acquired comprehensive knowledge of Quran, Hadith and Fiqh, like what is taught in madrasa. So a student, he studies 6-7 years, and he studies in a proper way. He becomes a hafiz of Quran, he becomes alim of Quran and Hadith. He knows the meanings of Quran Sharif, Hadith Sharif, and he practices according to it, and he teaches that to other people. That person is called alim. So the comparison between an alim and an abid. Abid is who makes nafal ibadat in abundance, but he does not have comprehensive. He has knowledge sufficient to his need, but not comprehensive knowledge which is taught in Darul Ulum, like in Madaris, Quran, Hadith, Fiqh. So if somebody acquired this knowledge in depth, and he engages himself in propagating the knowledge, in inshallah 14-15 years time, he will become a steadfast alim. He will be on the right path, he will be a practicing alim, and he will guide other people also. So such a alim's fazilat over a abid is just like the moon of the 14th of the month in comparison to other stars. So the moon is more bright, it brightens up the this earth even in night time. So that is the difference between a practicing alim and a abid. और उलमा वारिस अंबिया के, and there are many different groups of people in the ummah, but out of all the groups of people, Rasulullah sallallahu said, the ulamas are the inheritors of the prophets. Anbiya ne dinar ki miras chori na dirham ki. And the prophets, they don't leave behind them money, wealth, gold and silver as the inheritance. They leave behind them knowledge. Like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he passed away, there was so much poverty in the house that he had to buy some grain for the family members from one Yahudi, and he had put his shield as a mortgage to that Yahudi. So that was the state of the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah did not leave behind him any money, gold, silver, these things. He left behind him the knowledge in form of Quran Sharif and Hadith Sharif. So prophets, they don't leave behind them the physical wealth. They leave behind them their knowledge. For us, for the knowledge of Quran Sharif and Hadith Sharif. Anbiya ne dinar ki miras na chori na dirham ki. The prophets, they don't leave behind them money, gold and silver. Anbiya ne ilm ki miras chori hai. The prophets, they have left behind them the inheritance of knowledge in the form of Quran Sharif and form of Hadith Sharif. जिसने उसको लिया उसने भरपूर हिस्सा लिया. So this is such inheritance that every person, he can acquire it. So wealth, the inheritance of wealth, they fixed. The person was passed away, and then his son will get so much, daughter will get so much, wife will get so much, etc. So that is fixed by Shariah. But concerning what the prophets have left behind, Quran and Hadith, so this is something according to everyone's capacity. There is no limit. Somebody, he just makes effort and he can read the Quran Sharif looking inside, he has taken that amount. Somebody who becomes Hafiz, he has taken that amount of inheritance. Somebody becomes an Alim, then he has taken that amount of inheritance of knowledge. नीज दारमी और तिरमिजी ने हज़रत अनस रदी अल्लाह तआला से रिवायत की है कि फरमाया रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने जो इल्म की तलाश में बाहर जाता है वो राह खुदाबंदी में है. मन खरज लितलबिल इल्मी फहुव फी सबीलिल्लाह. That the person who goes out in search of knowledge, like students have come from their homes, they come from different towns, London and Birmingham or whatever. So here, for the purpose of coming out is to acquire knowledge of Deen. So any person who goes out, and usually to acquire knowledge of Deen, one has to come out of his house. He can't acquire knowledge staying at home. So long as he's away from his home and he's engaged in acquiring knowledge, he's counted to be in path of Allah Ta'ala. Fi sabilillah, the meaning of fi sabilillah is jihad. So he receives the reward what a mujahid receives. So mujahid, once he goes out of his home, he stakes his life. His life, he puts his life at risk. He puts his wealth at risk, that he does not know, nobody knows whether he will come back or not. So that a student, a person who leaves his home and comes to madrasa, he receives the sawab, that of a mujahid who goes and fights against the enemy to propagate the deen, safeguard the deen. और दारमी ने हज़रत हसन रदी अल्लाह से रिवायत की है कि फरमाया रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने जिसको ऐसी हालत में मौत आए कि वो इनको तलब कर रहा है ताकि उसे इस्लाम को ज़िंदा करे, तो उसके और नबियों के दरमियान जन्नत में एक ही दर्जा हासिल रहता है. That somebody is seeking a knowledge, and while he's seeking a knowledge, he passed away. So the status and his purpose by acquiring knowledge is to propagate the deen and call people towards the deen. So such a person, that while he was acquiring knowledge, he was a student of deen and he passed away, so his status will be just one level beneath the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam, meaning the highest level status is of the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam in Jannat. And after that, the most highest level will be of a practical alim. Even here, he's not even a full alim yet. He's a student, but he was acquiring knowledge so that he may practice and he may revive the deen. So such a person who passed away while he was studying, his status will be so high that he will be only one level beneath the level of the prophets, Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam. It shows the status. Also, we can learn from here that after the status of prophets, the next status is of an alim, practical alim, and propagating alim, because he's following in the footsteps of Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam. That was their task and duty, to practice themselves and then teach the Quran and Hadith and propagate the knowledge of Deen. और मख्फी न रहे कि वो इल्म जिसकी तलब की शरीयत ने तरगीब दी है, दो किस्म पर तकसीम है। एक फ़र्ज़ ऐन है, दूसरा फ़र्ज़ किफ़ाया। The knowledge which we have been guided to acquire is of two types. One is फ़र्ज़ ऐन, meaning compulsory for every person to know. Secondly, फ़र्ज़ अलल किफ़ाया. So they are explaining themselves. So the knowledge we acquire, it divides into two categories. One, which every person has to acquire that knowledge. If he does not acquire that knowledge, then he will be committing a sin. And secondly, Farz al-Kifaya, comprehensive knowledge, like which is taught in madrasa. So, the very basic knowledge of Deen, like our kitab, the basic thesis of Islam, these are very, very simplified masail regarding everyday life. And one is very comprehensive. We learn the whole Quran Sharif, we understand the whole Quran Sharif, we acquire the knowledge of ahadith, we acquire the masail of fiqh. So that is what is taught in Darul Uloom. बस फ़र्ज़ ऐन तो पाकी नापाकी के मसाइल का और नमाज रोज़े वगैरह उस इबादत के अहकाम का मालूम करना है. What is फ़र्ज़ upon every person? 5 times salat. So it is necessary to learn the masails of salat regarding istinja, wuzu, ghusl, and what makes a person impure, how he can purify himself. So regarding these things, and fasting, what is the requisite of fasting, what breaks the fast, what makes a qaza necessary, what makes a kafara necessary. So these are necessary masail which every person needs to know. जो मुकल्लफ पर वाजिब है और ख़रीद व फ़रोग़, किराया वग़ैरह इन मामलात के अहकाम का मालूम करना है जिनकी मुकल्लफ को अक्सर हाजत पेश आती है. So whatever is a person's duty, if somebody is a businessman, then he needs to know the masail concerning business, what makes it permissible, what makes it not permissible, what breaks a transaction. So he needs to know that. In the same way, when a person is going to get married, he's young, then he needs to know what are the rights of the wife over him, how he should treat the wife. Then he becomes a father, children, then he needs to know what are the rights of children concerning their feeding, concerning them bringing them up. So as a person progresses, then according to that, he needs to know the masail concerning that situation also. और तुमको मालूम है कि बहुत से मुसलमान ऐसे हैं कि उन पर नमाज, रोज़ा, हज, ज़कात फ़र्ज़ है और बे और रहन वगैरह मामलात करने का बकसरत उनको इत्तिफ़ाक़ होता है, मगर उनको मालूम नहीं कि इनके मुतालिक शरई अहकाम क्या है. And this is very common that upon every Muslim, the salat, fasting, etc., they are फ़र्ज़. And beside that, people engage in worldly matters, selling, buying, renting, etc. But people do not know the masail concerning this, and they carry it out according to their own view, according to their own opinion, and usually it's against the Shariat, so it becomes a sin. जिनका पूरा करना उनका फ़र्ज़ है, लिहाजा अपने फरीज़े के तर्क करने का उन पर गुनाह होता है. So just like performing salat, Someone performs the salat, but he does not know the masail of salat. He does not know the masail of istinja. And he performs the salat, but because the condition not fulfilled, his salat will not be valid. And not knowing the masails, it will become a sin. In the same way, somebody, he does business, buying and selling, but he does not know the masail of buying and selling, and he goes against the Shariat, that will become a guna also. So, whatever is first upon a person, it is first to have the knowledge of that act also. And whatever is wajib, it is wajib to have knowledge of that act also, and so on. अब रहा फर्ज किफ़ाया, सो वो इनका इतना हासिल करना है कि फतवा देने के मर्तबे पर पहुंच जावे. So regarding what is first upon us, it is first to have the knowledge of that, and beside that to acquire so much knowledge that he can guide other people. That is first al-kifaya, like which is taught in a madrasa. Student studies for 6-7 years, so if he studies in a proper way and makes full effort, then inshallah ta'ala he'll become capable of guiding other people. If somebody will ask him masla, he'll be able to give the masla, show the masla. If somebody asks him fatwa, then he will be able to give them fatwa and guide them. So that is not compulsory on every person, but there should be such a people. This, as we can see, that common people, they come with their masails, and they come with their questions, and the proper alim or proper mufti sahab, he guides them, he gives them the answer. जब किसी शहर के तमाम मुसलमान इस दर्जे का सीखने भी उठ खड़े होंगे और इतना ही हासिल कर लेंगे कि फतवे के दर्जे पहुंच जाए, तो अहले शहर से फर्ज साकित हो जाएगा. So in every Muslim community, there should be so many alims that they can fulfill the need of the community, that is farz. For example, Blackburn is a big town, so there should be so many such alims that they can guide the people towards the masail which occur. Every person does not have to become alim of that state. So regard every community or Muslim community, Muslim locality, there should have so many such alims that they can teach Quran Sharif, they can teach Hadith Sharif, they can guide people towards the right masail, whatever occurs, whether it's concerning nikah, talaq, buying, selling, many things occur. As a person becomes a mufti, then he will realize what type of questions comes to him and how to answer these questions. So if there are sufficient ulamas in the city, then this obligation will be fulfilled by these people. The rest of people will be absolved from this responsibility. मगर ये उनके ज़िम्मे फ़र्ज़ रहेगा कि जो ज़रूरियात पेश आएँ उसमें उस आलिम के फतवे की तामील करें. So regarding such a matter which does not occur every day and to every person, they occur occasionally, so there should be such a ulamas and mufti who can answer these questions and guide the people. So if there are such people in that locality, then the need will be fulfilled. और चूँकि इस शख्स ने, यानी the person has gone out of his house, home, and either now Allah has made it easy for us here that even in one's locality one can acquire comprehension nearly in every Muslim, in every town, big town, there are madaris that if a person wants to acquire comprehensive knowledge in his locality, he can do so. And if there is no such a facility in his locality, he doesn't have to travel far away. He will find a Darul Uloom, he can acquire that knowledge. Before, about 30, 40 years before now, if somebody wanted to acquire comprehensive knowledge of Quran, Hadith and Fiqh, he had to go to India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. So now that has made it easy that either in his own town he can acquire comprehensive knowledge, or if not in his own town, in a nearby town, meaning within the England, he can acquire this knowledge. और तरह तरह की मशक्क़तें बर्दाश्त की. Naturally, alhamdulillah, now that's made it so easy. Everything, the facilities are so good. The food, the bedrooms, the rooms, the toilet, shower facility. It's just nearly like at our home. But even then, a person who has to come, the food it may not be according to his taste. And other things, he has to wake up early, go to sleep, etc. So because he has bared all these troubles, his reward will be according to that also. और तरह तरह की मशक्क़तें बर्दाश्त की ताकि उससे मुसीबतों को झेला और इल्म हासिल करने में अपना वक्त खर्च किया और तरह तरह की मशक्क़तें बर्दाश्त की. So these are very normal matters that a person who comes out of his house to acquire knowledge, he has to bear many things which is against his wish and desire, ताकि उससे अहले शहर से फर्ज साक़ित हो जावे. So if some people become such a alim, then this fariza will be absolved from rest of the people of that locality. और उसके तर्क से वो गुनहगार न हो. And when there's such a alim who can guide the people, teach the people, the rest of people don't become such a alim, they will not be committing a sin. तो अहले शहर पर लाजिम है कि ऐसे आलिम की कदर करें. So when there's such a alim, once one person, he went to Jamaat in Australia for 40 days or 4 months, and he came back and he said, Mufti Sahib, when we go out of here, then we realize the value of ulamas and muftiyan. He said, we went to Australia and we went from town to town, we could not find a single alim. और उसके साथ अच्छा बर्ताव करें ताकि एहसान का बदला एहसान के साथ हो. So if there's such an alim in our locality, we should value him, we should respect him. Not that we give food to him, we give money to him. No, Allah gives him these things, and what he has, the knowledge, acquire the knowledge. Learn to read Quran Sharif from him, learn to understand the Quran Sharif and Hadith Sharif, learn the Masails of Deen. That is the meaning, not that there is an alim in our locality, we give him money, we give him hadiyah. If we have to give, that is, but that is not the real qadr of the alim. The real qadr of the alim is to acquire what he has, the knowledge of Deen in form of Quran, Hadith and Fiqh. और उसकी बेइज्जती से, हुर्मत और उसके उयूब की तलाश से बचे. One should not become opponent of an alim. One should not become enemy of an alim. He should not have bad thoughts concerning the alim because he has the knowledge of Quran and Hadith in his heart. क्योंकि उस शख्स का अल्लाह के नज़दीक बड़ा मर्तबा है. A practicing alim, pious alim, his status as we just read, one level beneath the level of the Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam. इमाम तिरमिज़ी ने हज़रत अबू उमामा बाहिली रदी अल्लाह से रिवायत नकल की है कि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के सामने 2 आदमियों का जिक्र किया गया. That 2 persons were mentioned in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam कि उनमें एक आबिद था और दूसरा आलिम. So one of them was abid, as mentioned before, that he had sufficient knowledge for himself and he engaged in nafal ibadat, fasting, zikr, tilawat, and performing salat, nafal salat in abundance. That person is called abid. Or dusra alim, and the other person who was an alim who had knowledge of Quran and Hadith. बस रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम फरमाया कि आलिम को आबिद पर ऐसी फजीलत है जैसी मुझको फजीलत है तुम में कम से कम दर्जे वाले पर. So Rasulullah said, the status of an alim over the abid is like me, meaning Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam status over the least of the Sahaba. So that way Rasulullah showed the comparison between an alim and abid. The difference between in the status of an alim and an abid is like difference between me, Rasulullah was a prophet, and the least status, the Sahabi, which is of the least status. उसके बाद आपने फरमाया कि अल्लाह और उसके फरिश्ते और आसमान और ज़मीन वाले ताकि चींटी अपने दर में और मछली तक नुज़ूल रहमत की दुआ करते हैं, उसके लिए जो लोगों को इल्म दीन की तालीम देता है. Further on, Rasulullah said that Allah Ta'ala and the angels and all that creatures in the sky and the earth and even the ants in the hole and the fish in the waters, they make dua of rahmat, mercy for such a alim who teaches the people the knowledge of Deen in form of Quran Sharif, Hadith Sharif and Masail. So it shows the status of an alim in sight of Allah Ta'ala. इमाम बैहक़ी ने रिवायत की है कि अनस बिन मालिक रज़ी अल्लाह ताला अन्हु से रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम फरमाया, जानते भी हो सबसे बड़ा सखी कौन है? So once Rasulullah said to Sahaba, do you know who's the most generous person? Sahaba ने कहा कि अल्लाह उसका रसूल ही बेहतर जानते हैं. Sahaba replied, Allah and His Prophet knows best. Meaning, Ya Rasul, you tell us who is the most generous person. आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया कि अल्लाह तो सबसे ज़्यादा सखी है. Rasulullah replied, the most generous is Allah Ta'ala. Look at the generosity of Allah Ta'ala, sending rain from the skies, as from the time the sky has been made, continuously as the sky, the water comes down from it, and the earth, soil, the plants, they come, the farming. So this is due to the generosity of Allah Ta'ala, that made the sun such a one bulb that it brightens the whole of the world. And beside that, if we think into these things, then we will realize the generosity of Allah Ta'ala which fulfill our needs. फिर तमाम इंसानों में ज़्यादा सखी मैं हूँ, and then out of all the human beings, the most generous person is me. In Rasulullah never stole anything for himself. Regarding worldly wealth, Rasulullah would become uneasy if any wealth would come to him until it was not distributed. So whatever came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would only become content and all of that was distributed. So regarding the worldly wealth, Rasulullah was very generous. And regarding the spiritual wealth, meaning the Quran and Hadith, through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the humanity has been guided. So after Allah Ta'ala, the most generous person with his worldly wealth and deeni wealth is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. और मेरे बाद में सबसे बड़ा सखी वो शख्स है जो इल्म हासिल करे और उसको फैलाए. Third number, Rasulullah said, after me, the most generous person is that person who acquires knowledge of Deen, knowledge of Quran and Hadith and Masail, and then he spreads that. So more person is engaged in spreading Quran, Hadith and Fiqh, he becomes an alim, he becomes a ustad, he becomes a teacher, he becomes a imam in a masjid, and he gives bayan, and he teaches the children and the elderly also. So more a person is engaged in acquiring knowledge and propagating, then the third number, that person is the most generous person. Qayamat ke din ye shakhs tanha amir bankar aayega. On the day of Qayamat, such a person, he will become as a leader of a whole group who followed him. The people who acquired knowledge from him, the people who became hafiz under his hands, the person under whose hands people became alim, qari, so they will be under that person's flag and that will count as that person's group. या ये फरमाया कि तन्हा एक जम्मे गफीर के हुक्म में होगा, that one person, he will be like a one big group, meaning the people he has taught, they will be under his banner, under his flag. So, and usually that somebody is an alim and he doesn't even remember who he has taught, who is his student. But Allah does not forget. All those people who acquire knowledge under him, from him, they will be under his flag on the day of Qiyamah. इमाम दारमी ने हज़रत औन से रिवायत की है कि हज़रत अब्दुल्ला बिन मसऊद रज़ी अल्लाह तआला ने फरमाया कि दो हदीस ऐसे हैं, रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम said, दो हदीस ऐसे हैं कि उनका पेट नहीं भरता. रसूलुल्लाह said, two greedy persons are such that they are never satisfied, that no matter how much they achieve, they are never satisfied. एक तालिब इल्म और दूसरा तालिब दुनिया. So one is a student of knowledge of Deen, that no matter how much knowledge he has acquired, first he learned to read Quran looking inside, but he's not content on that. He goes next step and he becomes Hafiz of Quran. And then he goes further, he becomes Alim of Quran. He goes further, acquires knowledge of Hadith, Masail, and so it is such a, that someone is a real Talib ilm, then he will never become satisfied on acquiring knowledge. He wants more, like we just read Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, how great alim he is, how great a prophet he is, but we can learn that he was not content. He was not satisfied. He wanted more and more of knowledge. So that's a good quality of a person, that is not content on what he's acquired. He wants more and more and more knowledge, meaning knowledge of Deen, which brings him near to Allah Ta'ala. So one is such a person who is a seeker of knowledge of Deen. Dusra talibe dunya, the other person, the seeker of the world. So here it is mentioned as a criticism that is not preferred. La nasaluka rizqa nahnu narzuquk. We don't ask you to earn a living, we will give you a living. So concerning acquiring a living, Allah Ta'ala teaches us to be content and acquiring knowledge of Deen. Allah says to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rabbi zidni ilma. Say, oh my Lord, increase me knowledge. So here Allah is saying to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, make dua, Allah increase me in knowledge. So that is Deen. And regarding acquiring the world, Allah says, La nasaluka rizqa. We don't ask you to earn a living, we will give you a living. So especially an alim or talib ilm, he should have contentness regarding worldly matters, and acquiring knowledge, he should be greedy. It's a good quality for a student. Greedy of knowledge of Deen, that he wants more and more and more. Magar dono barabar nahi. So the talib ilm and talib dunya, both are seekers, but both are not equal in their position. जो साहिब इल्म है, तो वो अल्लाह की रज़ामंदी में तरक्की करता रहता है. Seeker of knowledge, and here mentioned again that here the student is meant who is a practical student, who acts on his knowledge and who practices upon his knowledge. So such a seeker of knowledge, he increases in pleasure of Allah Ta'ala, more is obedient to Allah Ta'ala, more he follows the commands of Allah Ta'ala, more near he comes to Allah Ta'ala. और जो तालिब दुनिया है, so शरारत में डूबता रहता है. And on the other hand, the seeker of the world, he is usually neglectful from Allah Ta'ala, he is neglectful from the commands of Allah Ta'ala. He does not care about halal and haram, jais and najais, so he goes away and away from Allah Ta'ala. He is increasing in wealth, but he is drifting away from Allah Ta'ala by being disobedient. उसके बाद अब्दुल्ला बिन मसूद रज़ी अल्लाह तआला ने आयत पढ़ी, कल्ला इन्नल इंसान लयतग़ा अन रआहु इस्तग़ना, कि इंसान शरारत करता है इसलिए कि अपने आप को बेनियाज और मालदार पाता है. So Allah mentions there nature of an insan, human being, that the more wealth he acquires, more he turns away from Allah. He starts saying, I don't need anyone. My wealth is so much, I can do everything with my wealth. So that is a bad sign that a person increases in wealth for himself. He thinks I'm successful and he thinks I'm achieving my goal, but due to the wealth he's moving away from Allah Ta'ala, then the wealth is becoming calamity over himself. So regarding wealth, one should not indulge in such a way that it takes him away from Allah Ta'ala. Also regarding knowledge, being an alim and he drifts away from Deen, this is even very more serious and more evil. This is why Allah Ta'ala Ghazab was on the Yahud, Ghayril Maghdubi alayhim, because they had the knowledge of Tawrat, but they went against it, so they dropped themselves from the sight of Allah. That they have been made disgraced because of their not practicing on their knowledge. और दूसरे के मुतालिक इरशाद है इन्नमा यख्शल्लाह मिन इबादिहिल उलमा. So concerning that wealth and because of wealth he becomes neglectful from Allah Ta'ala, becomes neglectful from the Deen, then he is criticized by Allah Ta'ala. And regarding the alim, that he comes near and near to Allah Ta'ala, he becomes more and more obedient to Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala praises him. इन्नमा यख्शल्लाह मिन इबादिहिल उलमा, कि बस अल्लाह का खौफ तो उलमा ही करते हैं. That all the fearful people are those people who have the knowledge of the power of Allah Ta'ala and the qualities of Allah Ta'ala. Just like a king, the more person near to a king, the more he will be fearing the king. So in the same way, more person acquires the recognition of the quality of Allah Ta'ala, His power, His knowledge, His rahmat, then more he will be obedient to Allah Ta'ala, and more he will come near to Allah Ta'ala. Allah has given us a ready-made chance through our parents. Allah Ta'ala first gave them the tawfiq, the value of Deen, and they have given us a chance. Usually a student, he comes at a small age to madrasa, he does not realize the value of what he's learning. It's like a jewel and diamonds, you give it to a small child. Small child, he does not recognize the value, he just takes it as a colorful stone and he plays and loses it. But if that diamond is given to an elderly person, we can realize how much it's worth. This is our state also. Usually student, he comes to madrasa at a small age, immature age. He does not realize the value of Quran and Hadith, and many a times he wastes his time and he does not engage himself in a way he should. And when he finishes, now he becomes mature. He reaches the age of 25, 26. Now his mind opens up, his heart opens up. Now he realizes I had a chance, but I did not take it, I wasted it. Then he regrets, but once the chance goes, usually a second person does not receive a second chance. So a good person and a fortunate person is that person that he values the chance. It says Arabic saying, Qadrun ni'mati ba'da zawalin ni'mati. A ni'mat is appreciated when the ni'mat goes out of the hands, but then it is too late. So alhamdulillah, we are still young and we are in a madrasa, so we should make most of this and value this chance and acquire knowledge in such a way, we become good alim, we practice upon it, that when we go out of the madrasa, we propagate the Deen and we acquire the fazilat merit which is mentioned in Quran and Hadith. Allah give us tawfiq. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.